Gang members who've made it big in the music industry. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video, guys. One of the most famous ones that we all know is Snoop Dogg, who managed to take his hip hop expertise and his lyrical wisdom and his street knowledge to the multi-billion-dollar industry of entertainment. Let's go ahead and check it out, guys. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to Charles and Ed.
Dr. Dre. When Dre heard it, Dre was like, come meet me at the studio on Monday. And that same Monday, Above the Law was working on a song for me called Never Missing a Beat. And when I got the call from Dre, I told him I couldn't make it. I had to go, do something else. And I went and hollered at Dre, and I seen how for real he was. I let them know that I was finna get with him. And, it's still all good. I ain't tripping. I'm still down with y'all, but I gotta make my money. I'm getting in with Dre. This Dr. Dre.
Yep. 213.
Long Beach, California, once tried to sell itself as a balmy paradise and was known during the mid-20th century as Iowa by the sea for its influx of Midwesterners fleeing winter. To give you a sense of how things changed, I was born in Iowa, but never knew of the Southern California city until I heard the line, Compton and Long Beach together, now you know you got trouble. Today, Long Beach, also known as the LBC, possesses haves and have-nots in seemingly equal measure. The city, the second biggest in Los Angeles County, is known both for gang-ridden neighborhoods and touristy waterfront spots like the Queen Mary, the majestic former ocean liner now permanently docked and doubling as a hotel. The Virginia Country Club neighborhood, site of the Ferris Bueller House, isn't far from the storied Carmelitos housing project, where a postal worker once refused to deliver mail unaccompanied in 1989. The city has reinvented itself frequently over the years. In the 1920s, it boasted one of the world's top oil fields.
I did not know
A
that.
naval shipyard opened during World War II, while a vast aerospace industry churned out military planes. Oil production slowed, and the shipyard downsized before closing for good in 1995. Boeing shut down its massive C-17 plant in 2015. During Snoop Dogg's childhood, downtown was listless, until investments in business and tourism infrastructure during the Reagan years began reviving it.
Oh, really?
Today, a booming cultural scene encompasses everything from craft breweries to art galleries. Downtown Long Beach now gleams, and harbor resorts, parks, and a popular aquarium line the surrounding Queensway Bay and Los Angeles River. Nearby, the forebodingly named Terminal Island houses the Los Angeles and Long Beach ports, the largest of their kind in the country. The ports are a city unto themselves, a maze of roads, overpasses, and railways, accommodating giant tractor trailers, trains, and cargo ships. Sprawling bureaucracy and cutting-edge technology coexist side by side, and the landscape is dotted with towering cranes and multicolored shipping containers. There's a federal prison there, too. The contrast between rich and poor feels more stark here than in Los Angeles, 40 minutes north, but a world apart. Plenty of Long Beach residents commute there, but the city of nearly 500,000 is its own center of gravity. It's tremendously diverse. LBC hometown music luminaries include Latin pop icon Jenny Rivera, stoner punk heroes Sublime, indie psychedelic rockers Crystal Antlers, and hip-hop melody makers The Dove Shack. Cameron Diaz and Snoop went to high school together in Long Beach, where she said she was pretty sure she bought weed from him. The city has a strong Southern black influence and boasts many Baptist churches, as well as long-entrenched Cambodian, Samoan, and Chicano immigrant populations. Each of these ethnic groups has its own street gangs, like the famous Mexican set Eastside Longos. Acclaimed local rapper Vince Staples represents the Crips. Still, he said his Compton native parents moved him to adjacent Long Beach for a safer upbringing. Long Beach is like the next step to getting out of the ghetto, he said. Snoop attended the well-regarded Long Beach Polytechnic High School, also known as Poly, where you can even take Japanese. For his first video, 1993's What's My Name, a huge crowd of kids getting out of school came across the street to VIP Records and waved their hands like they just didn't care. Ensconced in a strip mall, VIP was the city's quintessential hip-hop landmark. You probably recognize its roof, which Snoop raps on top of in What's My Name, next to its towering sign with a man with his hands in his pockets. The store, its demise long predicted, was slated to shut for good in late 2015, with plans to go online. This is the east side of Long Beach, rep by Snoop and his colleagues, including Snoop's group, the East Siders. He spent some of his childhood in North Long Beach, near the intersection of East 61st Street and Linden Avenue, a neighborhood with multi-family buildings and handsomely built homes that have fallen into disrepair. Snoop's upbringing wasn't all bleak. He played football in the Pop Warner Youth League, and at Poly excelled on the basketball court. But gang culture and the easy money of the drug trade beckoned. Snoop's gang was the Rollin' 20s Crips, so named both for their territory, areas surrounding East 20th Street, and because of their original preferred transportation mode, mopeds. Dating back to the late 70s and early 80s, the Rollin' 20s originally considered themselves hustlers, making money however they could, which is another reason for their name. Their pockets were fat with 20s. Their local rivals, the Insane Crips, meanwhile, were the more violent enforcers. We were insane, and we were going to live up to the name, period, said Long Beach rapper Trey D, a longtime Insane Crips member. The Crips subsets are also differentiated by their preferred NFL teams.
That's why you always wear
Snoop and the Rollin' 20s favor the Pittsburgh Steelers, hence his bus I saw parked outside of his Inglewood compound. I grew up watching them in the 70s. Mean Joe Green, Terry Bradshaw, those guys, he told me. When the Rollin' 20s are not wearing blue, they sport black and gold, while the Insane Crips prefer Raiders colors, black and silver. Along the way, the two sets got to beefing with each other. The rivalry is serious, but not all-consuming. Snoop's cousin and Doggy Style cover artist, Joe Cool, for example, has been a member of the Insanes, as has Trey D from Snoop's trio, the East Siders. Snoop maintained that joining a gang was hardly a choice after his childhood friends were swallowed up. When the other set come by to rock, they're not going to say, okay, we know he don't bang. We're going to just shoot them too, he said. They're going to ride on everybody. So you're a victim of society regardless. You drink whiskey, I drink wine. Nate Dogg and Warren G were caught up in similar circumstances. Born Nathaniel Hale, Nate joined the Marines following his graduation from Poly. And upon his return, he, like Snoop, came to Loggerheads with his mother. I didn't want to be no damn police. So my mom was like, you grown. You got to leave, he said. He and Snoop lived in hotels together, hustled, and put whatever money they could save into their songs. Nate started out rapping, but having trained in the choir, gravitated towards singing his rhymes instead. Warren G was Snoop's longtime friend from summer youth sports programs. He'd acquired his love of music from his father, Warren Griffin Sr., who married Dr. Dre's mother and loved jazz. He would put on a record and walk around the house watering the plants, or maybe light up some incense. He would dip off in the other room. I knew what he was doing. He'd act like I didn't know. But I knew, said Warren G. After high school, Warren scraped by working at El Pollo Loco, Burger King, and for a time, as a shipyard's fire watchman. He and Snoop had already joined forces as hip-hop group Voltron Crew, along with others including Dwayne and Dion Williams, later known as Warren G's rap duo, Twins. Warren's rapping skills weren't too hot in those days, and so to impress his friends, he'd steal his stepbrother Dr. Dre's lyrics from world-class Wrecking Crew songs. They used to think I was hard as shit, he said, laughing. Snoop was more advanced. Inspired by the Sugar Hill Gang, He'd begun rapping at the dawn of the 80s before he'd even made it to junior high. He credits Warren with helping train him to freestyle. He'd point to, say, Snoop's shoes, and Snoop would rattle off a verse about them. With Nate, they formed a group called 213, named for their Long Beach area code. They were inspired by Oakland act 415. Nobody shows hometown pride better than rappers. Their white friend, Money B, made some beats for them, and 213 recorded their first song, Long Beach is a Motherfucker, at his house. Nate Dogg sang, Snoop rapped, and the aspiring DJ Warren G scratched. The tape gained popularity locally, and the trio caught a break when Roger Clayton of Uncle Jam's Army began hosting them at a downtown club he promoted called The Toe Jam. Warren G kicked off sets by leading the crowd in a chant. You drink whiskey, I drink wine. Come on everybody, it's gangsta time. Before long, they began recording at the back of VIP Records. The store's owner, Kelvin Anderson, set up a little studio and even bought a drum machine. Snoop kept getting busted for coke and thrown in jail. He wasn't always gone for very long, maybe 8 months or so, but it wore on the other members. Even fellow inmates implored him to get his act together. He was wasting his talents. Finally, during a stretch at the Pitches Detention Center known as Wayside, Warren G made a plea. Music may not get them rich, like slanging, but they should do it anyway. Let's just be broke and work hard at what we want to do. Music, he said. He later recalled the conversation in his song, Do You See? When Snoop emerged, he'd sprouted like a weed, owing to a large growth spurt, and was full of determination. There was still the matter of a record deal. VIP's Anderson had no luck shopping their demo to labels. 213 would only release a proper album years later, after its members were already famous. Their most obvious connection, Dr. Dre, wasn't giving them the time of day. Warren was coming at me in a crazy way about his group 213, but it was a big brother, little brother kind of thing going on, Dre said. Like, yeah, okay, I'll listen to it when I get a chance. But the group's fortunes turned at a 1991 bachelor party Dre put on for a friend. During a lull in the music, Warren retrieved his 213 tape, popped it in the stereo, and Dre, caught off guard, heard it with fresh ears. What is this? He asked. That's Snoop. That's who I've been telling you about. Dre immediately set up a studio session. Snoop couldn't believe his luck. Stop lying, he said, when told Dre wanted to speak to him. Snoop was about to have his big break, though Warren would remain overlooked.
Yeah.
For more of these fascinating stories and true crimes, subscribe to Charles Arnis World.
Pretty interesting. It's funny, I was looking at some of those old videos. That building that they had in one of those old videos, I think that building is still there. I think it's a bunch of luxury condos now. I don't know what it was back in the day, but those old clips of Long Beach, I was looking at like that because I used to work in Long Beach a long time ago. But that building is still. It's funny how buildings be around for years and years, sometimes even centuries, But people just pass on, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's interesting about that whole thing with Dr. Dre. It's funny, for the longest time I did not know that Dr. Dre and Warren G had the same mom. You know what I mean? Uh, it's all about having connections, I guess, right? Anyway, what do y'all think about this video? Leave your comments and subscribe to Charles on World. Y'all take care.